It's me, Hugh, and Stu is here, and we're live. It's Friday, November 4th. Stu, it's great to have you back, because I know we missed you last week.
I missed you guys, too. I was feeling a little under the weather last week, so I decided to let you take it on your own, because I didn't want you catching whatever I had.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're quite welcome.
Ooh, okay, so
what's happening? I think we've achieved the seventh sign of the apocalypse last night.
Well, what happened?
The Leafs are atop of the NHL.
Oh, yeah, I know.
No,
wait. I heard in the elevator on the way here that they were for a brief moment.
No.
And
Pittsburgh lost last night, so they're still atop of the
standard. They're still?
Yeah, as of today, they're 24 hours. It's going to be atop of the leaderboard in the NHL.
Wow, that's amazing.
Exactly. So plan the parade route and our trip straight to hell, because as I say, seventh sign has been achieved. The horsemen, I hear them coming. And my hometown team is just one below 500. The Jets are.
You guys must
surging.
be loving the Jets. How's it? What
Absolutely.
are people feeling in Winnipeg right now?
You know, the Love Fest is still going on.
Yeah.
Every game, they sell out their 13 or 14,000 people at the MTS, and they're having a great time. It's a good run for them for a second time around.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, and they look like they're starting to kind of reach their own stride right now, and look to good things for them.
What team were they before? I forget now. Nashville.
They were in Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay.
So from there they went to Phoenix. Phoenix had their problems, but they're still around. But then they decided to take the Atlanta franchise. But Winnipeg was poised to take Phoenix back again. Yeah.
But Phoenix is still Phoenix.
Phoenix is still Phoenix.
Did they go there from Winnipeg?
From Winnipeg, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank goodness for Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly.
If it weren't for Atlanta, we wouldn't have the Calgary Flames.
One huge.
We wouldn't have the Winnipeg Jets.
That's right. We just need one or two more Canadian teams, and we're going to be.
We need a Quebec team.
Yep.
And we need one in Hamilton.
Do we?
Yeah,
I don't know if we need one in Hamilton.
Hamilton
I think we need one in Quebec City. The Nordiques are sadly missed.
What's wrong with two? We can have both. We should have both.
We could.
Poor Hamilton. Imagine Hamilton. You think Winnipeg needed a hockey team?
You know what is true? Hamilton could use something because, their football team.
They lost last night.
Yeah.
The Argos.
No, Toronto won last night.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. They lost to Toronto, and
Yeah.
Toronto went out on a high, I suppose you could say.
I wonder how long that'll last.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's every time and Friday night we jam, of course.
Yes,
right?
of course. And
I'm
I'm
going to
see
see you
there
there tonight.
I'm going to see you there.
And what we have been doing is we put the CFL game on while we're jamming.
Oh, cool.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're always exciting, except when Toronto plays.
I know. And then the yawn fest begins.
But no,
I know, it's
a couple times. I think last week they won by 1 point in the last minute of the game, or I don't know. There wasn't a game like that with Toronto, even fairly recently.
No, not really. Not at all. I mean, what was their record? 5-11.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Anyways.
Yeah. So that's it. That's it from the sporting world.
I know what I want to talk about.
What's
the
that?
world is changing.
It is every day. In what way, though?
There are riots everywhere.
Oh, but you mean like the Occupy?
The Occupy. Yeah. And I think it's really, I think there's a real spirit that people have just had enough of the BS.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. This is a huge movement. I don't think this thing is going away. I really don't. In fact, I think it's going to gain even more momentum. I mean, in the colder climates, we'll see how long it lasts in Toronto in the winter, but it's not going away.
This is, and people are not going to put up with crap anymore.
I hope not, because you know what? We've been putting up with a lot of BS for the last 10, 15 years of being run rampant by banking.
Yeah.
And it's enough already.
And whether it's Greece or whether it's Oakland or whether it's Toronto.
Let's talk about Greece. I mean, Papandreou saying, well, maybe let's rethink leaving the EU and.
Well, first he said we're going to have a referendum.
Right.
And now he's backing off from that.
Right, because now they're having a confidence vote.
Right. So Greece is in turmoil.
Greece is in turmoil, yeah.
And good. You know what? I think they should have a vote and, like Iceland did, turf the bankers out, tell them to go, themselves.
That's, sure. Why not? Just a sweeping reform right across the board globally.
Yeah, across the board. And, and in the U.S., this Oakland thing. Actually, we got a whole bunch of it. I'm going to show something. I'm not sure what yet. But now in Canada, you know the crime omnibus bill that what's his name up in Ottawa?
That guy.
A guy with that, the bad marriage.
Whoa.
Anyways, people are really, because it's ridiculous. They want to build prisons, mandatory sentencing for like stuff like marijuana
possession. Yeah.
Sorry,
what is this, the 50s?
I'm just saying, come on.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle that a lot of people in this country are now going to be made criminals over.
Well, and this is sad because it's like in the United States right now, the troubles they're having, especially on the Republican side, to find a front runner to lead their party. You know that whack job, that reverend from a few years ago that said the apocalypse is going to happen in May, and no, it's going to happen in
was
September.
This year.
Was that this
year? It was supposed to be October.
So he's running now, and his whole plan is maximum security. Women who get abortions go straight to prison. This is his platform. And the sad thing is there's probably enough people down there to go, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And it's just this type of thinking is just blowing me away in this year.
Well, maybe part of the thing that's going on is that people are actually that this Occupy movement will be a smart movement, and that they're going to just say, we just don't want any more of this bullshit.
And you know what? I hope there's no more any distractions too, because their main point is a referendum and a reform of banking, of big business. I don't want to see this just become a circus, which is what everybody's hoping will happen. It'll just be another venue for Joan Baez and Peter and Paul, to get together and sing some protest songs and have a big hippie love-in, because that's what most people think that this thing is.
Right.
But it's not. But I don't know how the message. I think once the Occupy thing continues, it'll just be, I guess, that's those people in the park. They've been there for 3 years.
Well,
and nothing's going to change.
Well, we'll see. Things are going to change because, first of all, just a funny thing that's happening. You got to love this country.
Yes,
I'll tell you, because Quebec has announced, apparently, that they are not going to support this crime omnibus bill. They're not going to pay for it.
Okay.
They are just not going to participate in it. And apparently, Dalton McGuinty's thinking the same for Ontario. So, so if the provinces just say no.
Just say no. Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Steve.
That's
we don't like it, Steve.
Yeah, quit ramming this down our throats, Steve.
So, and then, I think there's a real spirit here, a real spirit of opposition to the BS and everybody, because everybody now is being affected by all this.
It is, absolutely.
And in Canada, I'm saying that. And they say, oh, yeah, we don't really feel it in Canada, and we don't. But I saw some stupid article in The Sun yesterday. Oh, none of these things apply to Canada. Yeah, they all apply to Canada, just not as much, right?
Right. You can go, this doesn't apply to the rest of the world. Of course it does. Of course
it's the same problems that happen here.
Yeah.
The difference between the rich and the poor, the disappearance of the middle class. It's just not as bad here. But, we have to make a difference. Okay, so let's just tell people what we got on the show. I got a great video, by the way. Can we do the Danny Glover? Let's do the Danny Glover. You know Danny Glover, right?
Of course, the actor Danny Glover.
Yeah, I forgot, what was he in?
Oh, he was in all those Mel Gibson.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. Anyway, we're going to watch this. It's Danny Glover speaking to the Occupy Oakland people.
I saw this,
But you did?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool. So, but what we have coming on the show, Ryan Coyle is going to be here from the Condo Store Realty. Darlene Madott here. She's a family law lawyer and a writer.
Good.
And she'll be here. And Jim Pagiamtzis is coming in with Diane L.E. She's written a book called Mrs. Fraud and You. Doina on Sell, Infinite Solutions. Oh, there's just so much going on the show. And that's not even all, because we're going to start the show off in just a couple of minutes with Rezo from the Alternative Thinking Bookstore.
Cool,
up
great.
At Bathurst and Bloor. So let's watch Danny Glover, and we're going to come back with Rezo as Liquid Lunch gets underway on a Friday here on thatchannel.com. We'll be right back.
Davis used to say, when asked why he was where he was at that moment in time, he said he was there because it is the right moment to be there and the right time to be there. We're here because it's the right time to be here. We're tired and sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's why we're here. We here, not only are we talking about taking back our government, taking back a democracy and making it a democracy, but we're here because we're talking about taking back our humanity. Taking back our humanity right now here. That's why we're here. We're in a crisis here. But when there's a crisis, there are challenges and opportunities. We're here because we're taking up the challenge and the opportunity here. We support something that is happening not only here in Oakland, it's happening in almost 500 cities around the world. It's happening with young people. It's happening in Chile. It's happening in the Middle East. It's happening on Wall Street. It is about the same thing. We have to take back the world. We have to take back this precious planet that's ours. And what does it look like? We don't know what it looks like. We know that there are going to be challenges, and there will be challenges. But at the same time, there's challenges. We know that it's not a weekend party, a weekend parlay. It means that we have to be on the job 24/7, working and organizing. Many men and women are here who come from various organizations, who come from labor. We know what has happened to labor. 88% of the workforce is unrepresented. 88% in a modern society, that's unconscionable. 88% or don't have a way in which they can collect a bargain. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about 45% of the men and women, people who are unemployed, have been unemployed and unemployed for more than 4 years. That's what we're talking about. We have to find something. So it has to be more than just simply jobs, even though we know that labor does its best work when it fights for jobs and better wages and better conditions in the workplace and all the things that it fights. We know that it does that, but it has to be a reimagining and a rethinking of what we mean by democracy. It has to be a reimagining and a rethinking of what we mean by work. It has to be a reimagining and a rethinking about what we need by education and what it means, importantly, what it means to be a human being. What does it mean to be a human being? What does it mean to be a human being in the 21st century? That's what we're talking about. That's what we have to be. That is what we mean, but it's not simply a revolution. It has to be a revolution, an evolution, and transformation. We have to be the change that we want to see. And we're willing to stand up for that. Are we willing to stand up for that? Are we willing to stand up there? Young and old. Young and old. It's not only taking back our democracy, we have to remake it. We have to transform it. We have to build something better than that. That's what we have to do. It's let us down. It's failed us. It's failed us in our homes. It's failed us in our communities. It's failed us state by state. But it's also failed this fragile planet we live on. This fragile Mother Earth, which nourishes us. It's failed us too. We're on the basis, right on the preface of ecological collapse. And yet it goes on and talks about growth and development and growth and making more money. Transforming the commonplace into private property and private wealth. It keeps doing that. But we have to change that. And we have to be here tomorrow, the next day, the day after tomorrow, and the tomorrows after tomorrow. And not only to change it, but to ensure that its transformation is institutionalized. Just as the transformation into a country controlled by corporations has been institutionalized, we have to take it back and transform it into one that is for the people, by the people, that works on behalf of the people and works on behalf of the planet. We're here today. We're here to do that. We're not here to do anything short of that.
There you go. So that's, so he's like not just some guy on the street. He's
No, he's an activist. Yeah, he has been for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Smart guy.
arguably part of the establishment since
Well,
he's...
you know, sure, he's probably one of the top few percentile that's making tons of money, but he's also a real person and isn't a banker.
But you never got to be a banker, did you, Mr. Kramer?
And a salute to Seinfeld. Nice one, buddy. Beautiful.
Oh, okay. Well, we have someone else here who's not a banker. We've got Rezo here from the Alternative Thinking Bookstore. And Rezo, did you ever want to be a banker?
Maybe at some point.
Yeah.
Banker, no, it's hard to come around to that thought even, you know?
Yeah. But obviously you did want to start a bookstore. And so tell us a little bit about the Alternative Thinking Bookstore.
Yeah, so it all has to do with realizing what being human is, this whole conscious factor, right? So when I realized that there's information that you consume and it changes your paradigm, I found out that there's all these recent publishings that are coming out and there's lots of great work and there's no outlet for these things. So I try to open up a little thing and we're down by the annex over there, Bathurst and Bloor Street, and from the reception of all the market there, because it has a history of common culture, that little area.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody's loving it and we haven't looked back. It's beautiful.
When did you open up?
We had a little space. We were part of a bookstore. We had a little section of it just to see how the bookstore market reacted to it. And we had that for a year, and then we managed, we had the used books and we had the newer consciousness stuff. And now the bookstore moved over, the used books, and now we got the whole space and we have events there for the last 6-7 months. We started having some events and some all kinds of workshops, lectures, all kinds of work.
Now, that's cool. So, I'm just thinking about that area because now you're just south of Honest Ed's on the west side of Bathurst, right? And, but I'm thinking about Seeker's Books, which is in the neighborhood.
Seeker's across the corner.
Yeah.
They're doing almost the same thing. We kind of the extension of that. We got the newer publications going on, but they got a lot of ancient information and all the used books, so we refer to people over there. There's been Eternal Moment, Omega Center. So there's been a few bookshops and a few community centers that have been there for the last 10-15 years.
So it's a great neighborhood to go for,
for
this alternative
it's all
thinking.
established, and the vibrations there and the energies and the people are there coming through are in sync with everything that we're trying to do, so it's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, we'll have to go check it out sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, what are some of I'm just curious, we just saw that speech by Danny Glover and we got the whole Occupy thing going on, and you mentioned before you came on, you've had some interaction with some of the Occupy people.
Yeah, last night a few people came by. We're kind of on the same page with people, right? And we all realize that it's important for us to talking about this whole exemplary living thing. We all see it's important us to see how we live, and you pay attention to your lifestyle, and kind of matters to us how we are living, and it's like this whole exemplary thing. So we are on the same page as them, and there's a few groups that come by and join some of our workshops, because we started a similar thing. We're in this transition now where we're trying to have we're trying to establish a gift economy, a center where it's energy exchange zone, right?
Yeah.
We're thinking, we were charging for our services, and vibrationally, the next dimension is kind of to exchange, barter, and then beyond that is we're encouraging people to kind of live out their hearts and exchange energy, just like you guys sit here and exchange this information, and anything, all forms of energy. So if there's healers that are trying to align your chakras or work with crystals or talk to you about your past lives or anything of that form, so we have a team now where we're getting into this whole gift economy, and it aligns with the whole Occupy.
Absolutely, because you know what, with the way the economy is right now, a lot of people are relying on barter trade of, whether it's product or it's services or something like that. I see a lot of that happening these days, so that's kind of a cool extension of what you guys are doing as well.
Yeah, and we feel like taking it to the next level and completely living out our hearts. And we have a team. We call it Team Spirit, and it's a group of light workers that are trying to do this exemplary thing and offer their services and gift their work. And they're there working every day, and we have loads of workshops and private sessions and anything you like. So all these things that we're charging before, all this became gift works because we realized that I'm getting as much as from you as you're getting from me, right? So it's those vibrations. So I think we're trying to lead by example, and it's a little experiment that we started a few weeks ago, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, it must be challenging. I mean, because there you are, you're running a business too, and you've got some real hard expenses, and this is, I think, the real challenge. How do we get off this economic situation that we're in? Because everybody's got that money thing just turns everybody into
we don't know how to deal with it. We don't know how to deal with it. We have to use money. I mean, we can't run away from it, right?
Yeah.
We have to change our relationship with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And use money to transcend money and go beyond it, right? So that's our motto over there. And I was getting to another point there, I forgot. But
well, I'm sure it'll come back. So you've got the books, of course, but you got the workshops and this team spirit with this gift economy. Are there other kind of initiatives that you guys are working on?
That's about it. What we have is basically the retail environment where we have a lot of lifestyle products. We got the full spectrum lighting and a lot of things that will try to manifold your lifestyle. So you can see a lot of the different lifestyles that you can lead and different thoughts, right? So we're trying to be the outlet for these unconventional things, thinking, all these lifestyles, right? So we got the books, we got a lot of DVDs, we got hundreds of documentaries, and most of it is really recent, the last few years. All these amazing productions that are coming out, all these amazing radio shows and TV shows everywhere, and it's just full blast, right? So
where do you find a lot of your books and DVDs and stuff? Are you relying on, just people coming to you, or are you out there shopping around?
It's all personally picked.
Right.
What's nice is there's a group of once I put all this together, I found out there's a group of a few hundred authors that kind of lead their paradigm, whether it be the scientific approach. Or the healing modalities,
or whatever,
or new mystical approaches to reality, or any of these things, right? So then they're kind of based their research on each other. So there is a new field of work that's coming out, and we try to focus on that. And then there's channels that they'll help you do that.
So being in this environment, in the middle of all this stuff, you must absorb a lot of this information.
It's a lot of growth and a lot of things are going on every day, and we're getting from new products to all the people that are coming in. I mean, we're just getting started. We haven't really done any marketing yet. This is probably one of the first. And we don't really have to. It's just the vibrations have taken off.
Right.
Our workshops have gone beyond our capacity. We just have to expand now, and we're doing a lot of energy work, a lot of geometry. We're taking it beyond language. That's one of the topics we'll talk about.
Beyond language?
Yeah, a lot of our work is geometry based.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what?
You guys heard of sacred geometry?
Yeah. Biogeometry? That Egyptian biogeometry, into that?
It's all based on ratios and geometry, just like colors and shapes define life for you and interact with the right side of your mind, like mandalas, right?
Yeah.
Use them for meditation. If you draw on your own geometry, you come up with all these cognitive aspects of yourself, right? So all these things relate to you. So we have a lot of that work. We have a huge section with all that work, and a lot of the productions, the DVD productions are coming out in visual music, where it's guided meditations through 3D graphics or really beautiful photography.
Stuff that opens up your third eye and all that.
Yeah, so we're trying to have, since we're all into this linguistic experience, we're immersed in language all the time, so we're trying to go beyond it and have encourage people to have experiences outside of language. So this colors and geometry would define that. So in a sense, one of our missions is to transcend language, in a sense, to make the world more objective. We feel it's too subjective, and there's limitations, and all this has to do with that, right? So we are part of it, and we need a better platform for communication, I feel, and one of my visions would be to have a visual platform of communication where I can show you what I mean instead of,
telling you.
Exactly. And we can get there with language, come up with better words for personal states, and yeah, we just have to clean it up and use language for our advantage.
So hopefully this is all just part of our evolution. you
Pretty
know?
much, it
Yeah.
seems so. It's very
Yeah.
natural. You know, just getting time to pay attention to all these things, and
Well,
yeah.
isn't that the truth, though? I mean, it's like it's taking the time to pay attention, because I don't think we do.
Yeah.
We just have our blinders on, and
Yeah,
seem to
that's it. Techniques for consideration, paying
Right.
attention to attention itself,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I got to check what condition my condition is in.
doctor.
Rezo, look, I got some biogeometry on my phone. Have you seen
oh
those
wow,
things?
actually we sell that stuff.
Oh, yeah?
That's Jason Quid.
Yeah.
He did a workshop at our work,
Yeah,
at our space. He
I
does
have.
the Egyptian geometry.
yeah,
He does the standing and sitting postures.
yeah.
And it's really grounded stuff. When
Yeah.
we do high energy work and we flying everywhere, he comes in and he grounds us. So there's sitting and standing postures where you hold your space, right?
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of these, we're going into this new consciousness and going beyond our thoughts, and everything's accelerating and everything. So we have to find ways of grounding ourselves and being here at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and we sell the rods for that too. If you notice
Really?
the Egyptian postures, they're
Yeah,
holding
yeah. We had
the rods. One of them
on the
is holding shungite, and the other guy is holding. The other hand's holding.
on the knee.
What is
Soap-
it?
soapstone?
Soapstone. Exactly,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the opposite polarities.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had on the heart, on the leg like this, and yeah.
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 And then actually, that thing goes along with shungite.
he's got one
Shungite is
too.
the.
You know what? Should I just?
Oh,
go-
wait, you put shungite over
Yeah,
your biogeometry?
Yeah, shungite. It works best with shungite.
Yeah.
So what you want to do on any electrical device is use more shungites to that one piece, that scalar energy.
Yeah.
And the geometry is beautiful too. We got all these books too, and his posters as well. I don't know if you guys seen that. Crystalsong.com is Jason Quitt's
Yeah.
website.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
it's
it.
fabulous
Yeah.
art. And
Well, we did an interview, or he came in for an
really,
interview.
okay,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
you go.
so
So
we-
And it was
yeah,
really awesome. I mean, that's where we got that, and
I've got one on the back of my phone. It's.
You got one too?
Yeah, it's right over there.
See?
Yeah, absolutely.
um,
Protects me from the evil
I
rays
know.
that.
do you find it? I mean, have you noticed the difference? Do you find that it
I
works on
have
your
in a
phone?
sense. After a while, I still get the.
The
I
earache?
still get
Yeah.
the sensitive aspects of it
Mhm.
after, here and there, after an hour, a lot of conversation. I'm really sensitive to Bluetooth, for example.
Yeah.
If I put on Bluetooth, in a minute or two, I can't, ringing in my ear, and I can't hear
Yeah.
anything, and it's really, really bad. If I see anybody, I'm like, stop. Because it's really high frequency,
It
right?
is,
It's
yeah.
really bad for you. It's really, really
But
high.
just we should remind people that the studies have been done, and these things are perfectly safe.
Yeah, totally. It's just a personal thing.
Yeah, I know. It's, until somebody's head explodes. Oh, wait a minute. We're going to rethink that. Maybe it is more evil than we thought.
No, it's just the frequencies that,
Yeah.
that it's on, and everything's on a frequency, and that happens to be on the higher one, and I'm personally sensitive to it.
Yeah. Speaking of frequencies, you've heard about the Schumann number
Which one would
of
that
the
be?
Earth. That's the heartbeat of the Earth.
Oh, okay, okay.
Frequency that
Yeah.
was always the same, and then in the late 80s it started to go up. Have you heard about that one?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
And earth tones in general, what we're trying to do is bring out the earth tones, right? I mean, we got all these tones that we're all on.
Yeah.
The electrical wires are
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
off their own
Off
frequencies and
that
everything.
grid.
Yeah, so, and the cement dampens a lot of these earth vibrations, and the earth has its own tone, and we have a hard time tuning to that, right?
Yeah.
So we have a few geomancy products that we sell to try to bring off those tones. Like on the bottom of our floor, we put these rocks that help do that.
Yeah. How about organite? Do you guys?
Yeah,
have any of
we
that?
heard a few things like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a few. We sell some of the really neat things,
Yeah.
and that again interferes with electric radiation.
Yeah. Plus, they've gifted, the Dowsers, right? They've
Yeah.
gifted the whole Lake Ontario, the whole city, with organite, and apparently it's they put them under every cell tower, and
Did they really?
yeah,
I had
Is
no
that the
idea.
Toronto Dowsers?
yeah,
Oh,
or
wow.
people.
The Dowsy
The
people?
Dowser, yeah.
The-
Association or whatever.
No, I
Maybe
heard
the-
people do that, but I don't know which organization
and
runs that.
apparently the whole lake too, and that's why if you go down to the lake, the water's very clean now.
Well, yeah, we
and,
do. We have one of the cleanest lakes in Canada right now, as
which
opposed
is
to 10 years ago.
Weird because it's
Yeah.
the last lake,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very clean. So, Rezo, there's all this talk about 2012 and everything, and you were in that environment. You're exposed to all this different
All the
information.
thoughts,
so,
all the-
what's your synthesis of what's happening and where we're headed and what's going to happen in 2012?
Well, as we're noticing, the vibrations are changing, right? This new wave that we're on today at the moment is amazing, right? So I
Yeah.
can't wait for that vibrationally.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling that, I don't know, me personally, last few months, I've been noticing how since the time, it feels like the time is accelerating, there's too many things to consider, everything's really overwhelming, you're almost like
Yeah.
holding on to
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
just
yeah.
letting it. So we have to change the approaches, right? So I feel that we need a lot of grounding work, a lot of that type of Egyptian work, or in general, find ways to ground yourself so you can connect to the earth and be ready for these changes at the same time. I find that that's the missing link. And otherwise, what will happen is a change of consciousness. We all working on it. We all, complexity is working. We all evolving into this higher realms of complexity. All this newer stuff's happening everywhere, and it's all diversifying. And we have access to all these thoughts now,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. And where that's leading is to more complexity. So we'll see where that leads. In the sense that we're creating it. It's just us. It's just us. We're gonna, if it's not me, it might be you that will create the spark. And there's these morphic fields. I don't know if you guys heard of morphogenetic fields. It's these fields of history field fields that we create. That any thought that you can create,
Yeah.
you'll have access to it, right?
Right.
So all these thoughts that we're going through, we're actually channeling all these.
Yeah, everybody has access to that.
Yeah, everybody has
field,
access
right?
to that field,
Yeah.
right? So as soon as everybody's creating these things, we all have access to that. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be interesting.
Well, we ask a lot of people about 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar, is the whole world coming to an end. I mean, I don't personally buy into that, but what I do think is that what you just said, Rezo, it's just sort of an end of a consciousness, a way of thinking that we have right now.
Yeah, it's
Hopefully
just a
we'll
way
be able
of
to
becoming
project-
sensitive
Right.
and thinking about yourself a little differently and
other
new
people and
trends,
where
and
we
it's just
live.
a natural
Right.
evolution, and you can't help but notice that we are really close and we're around the corner from something
Yeah,
big.
Yeah, I think
And
we're-
we all get that feeling, and anybody who comes in is kind of on the same page, and we all get this anticipative aspect of things, and hooray! Yeah.
Do you get a sense that there's a real, cultural, that the zeitgeist is heading towards almost like a 60s type cultural shift?
Well, yeah, we're catching all these shifts. I mean, it's easier to look at life as cyclical.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we all going through all these cycles, right? So you can bring all these cycles from God knows when. I mean, we're all going through all these. Everything is accelerating really quick. So we're
Yeah.
channeling all these cycles. And every day you go through so many cycles, and you sense that sense and this sense. So yes, we get some of that energy. We got some of everything, right? So we coming back to these things. We're using them, and whatever's happening, we're all trying to find out what's going on, and gotta catch on, I guess, and see what's going on.
Very cool. So we're going to have to go check out the bookstore. Do you want to just mention a couple of the workshops you got coming up and what people can
Yeah,
look
actually,
forward to?
this whole gift economy that we started out talking about, we're having this November 11/11 weekend, where the whole weekend we're gonna have to exhibit all the team spirit that we were talking about, all the members of the alternative thinking gift economy concept. And Saturday we have a whole day full of events, lecture after lecture. And on Sunday, we're talking about a lot of nutrition. We invited a lot of people to talk about that, a lot of grounding as well as the high concepts. So we try to cover all the realms. And Friday night, we're showing this movie, we're premiering this movie Thrive. Have you guys heard of the trailer?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Check out the trailer, it's pretty neat. It premieres on 11/11, and it's this whole...
Maybe we can get that trailer up right
yeah,
now.
thrivemovement.com.
Thrivemovie.com. And we're just gonna put-
Thrivemovement.com.
Thrivemovement.com. We're just going to check out the
And it's
trailer.
coming out on the 11th, and we're premiering it at 9 p.m. at the shop.
Wow,
Wow.
cool.
Yeah, it has to do with this whole transition, geometry. It's basically on point, and a lot of the authors and a lot of people who are among these thoughts are featured in the movie, and it's well produced and should be really good. So that's Friday night on the 11th at 9 p.m. at 758 Bathurst Street.
That's next week, right?
Nice.
That's
a
next
week
week.
today.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, a week
next
from today.
week.
Week
Yeah,
from today.
totally.
What time again?
That's 9 p.m.
Fantastic. And
Yeah.
is there an admission charge or?
No, it's all free. We stopped charging a few weeks ago, and none of our services are charged.
What's great about that is people can go there, buy a book or buy
Yeah,
something
yeah.
else, and
Get a little treat
and
at
still
the same
enjoy the
time.
movie. And
Absolutely.
support the
Enjoy, yeah.
bookstore.
There's other
Yeah.
things that you can consume and
Learn.
you know, because the mystery is still in the physical, and there's that aspect as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
right? So we're gonna have to deal with that too.
Fabulous. So, what's the address again? Just
75 Bathurst Street, 758 Bathurst Street, actually, and that's right south of Bathurst and Blur.
Is there
Great.
an address on the web that they can find you at?
Yeah, that can go to www.alternativethinking.com, and that's alternative-thinking.com.
Okay.
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook.
fantastic.
All of that. Just come down if you're in the neighborhood,
Yeah.
hang out.
Nice.
Should be
Okay,
neat,
Rezo.
should be good.
Rezo,
Thanks for coming
very
in.
much.
Great to meet you. Great to chat.
Yeah, you too, guys.
I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Yeah, me too.
And
Yeah,
we're-
I'm
Just
glad
down the
you guys
street
are
from me.
exposed to all
Just-
this. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
liking
We're
it.
I believe everything.
Yeah, that's a good one. And don't believe everything at the same time, right? So
Everything. I believe everything is going to happen at once.
yes,
One
yes,
day.
yes.
One day it will.
Anyway.
It's all a combination of stuff, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, brother.
that's the way to go.
All right, Rezo. This is great. We've got the trailer lined up of Thrive, which is going to be shown at the bookstore next Friday night. So we're
Right.
going to check this out. Come back with Ryan Coyle from the Condo Store Realty right after this. ThatChannel.com.
My name is Foster Gamble, and I have spent nearly a lifetime trying to figure out what happened that could account for the staggering agony and deprivation on this planet. I set out on a journey seeking to answer questions like, is it even possible for humans to thrive? I found a code, a pattern in nature that's been embedded in arts and icons throughout the centuries.
Yes, there have been crashed craft and bodies recovered.
But who do you tell that you were involved in a UFO incident without them looking at you like you ain't wrapped too tight?
It's not etched into the rock, it's not carved, it's burned into the atomic structure in some extraordinary way.
I believe that they're giving us a model for accessing energy in a clean, safe, limitless way that could completely revolutionize the way all people live.
Right here in this toroid, we have enough energy to transform the entire Earth. And that's not just a theoretical statement, it's literally true.
The energy is extracted from the fabric of the space around us, which means it cannot be metered. That is a direct threat to the single largest industry in the world, energy.
The suppression of UFO phenomena is hand in hand with the suppression of so-called free energy.
An elite group of people and the corporations they run have gained control over not just our energy, food supply, education, and healthcare, but over virtually every aspect of our lives.
The way the system of medicine is set up, medical education is funded by pharmaceutical companies.
We have a privately owned central bank system disguised as a government-owned system.
There is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take.
It gives them the ability to print money in a way that the insiders are protected and everybody else is drained.
No matter where you go in the world, he who controls the money controls the world.
The time has come to say enough. There is another way.
If you want alternative energy, you don't ask an oil economy to produce it for you. We have to produce it.
The power of the internet enables us to share the depth of this research.
There is an extraordinary, fierce group of people who are taking this on.
We can make a real difference right now.
The simple power of truth.
We're not nearly as insignificant in our impact as we think we are.
there is a force that's more powerful, and that's the power of the people.
We can create a world where people can thrive.
Thrive. What on earth will it take? Be a part of the conversation. Be a part of the solution.
Okay, welcome back. That's the Thrive movie, which is going to be on at the Alternative Thinking Bookstore next Friday night. And we got Ryan Coyle joining us here right now, Condo Store Realty. And Ryan, great to have you here.
That's
and
correct.
And you and Stu both
Yes, the name would imply condo real estate.
condos
Yeah.
in common, and
Yeah.
all three of us have had our real estate licenses. at
Oh,
one
no
point.
kidding?
That's
Yeah.
We have a lot more in common than expected.
Yeah. Can we turn that room volume down a bit? I feel like I'm about to, I don't know.
I feel like I'm in a culvert.
Yeah, culvert.
Yeah. Thanks, Momar. Anyways, yeah, so the condo market. How long have you been a broker now, Ryan?
I've been a broker now for just over 7 years. I've actually been a realtor for just over 7 years.
Yeah.
I've been a broker now, registered broker for about 4 years.
For about 4 years.
I've been investing in Toronto real estate for about 11 years now, since the age of 19.
Yeah, it's a good market to invest in.
It's
in
an
Canada.
exciting time to be a real estate investor in Toronto. Absolutely,
Yeah,
and abroad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but in Canada specifically, we live in this bubble here that nobody else has enjoyed as much as we have. And I'm going back to the early 90s.
I don't know if I want to refer to it as a bubble. That can,
No,
that
no,
can,
you
scare,
know,
that
you're
can
right.
scare some people
Yeah, it
away.
does, because everybody comes talking about
You
when's
don't
the
really
bubble gonna
realize
burst?
it's a bubble until it's too late.
Right. I just meant a bubble in the fact that
I
every other
understand.
city
Gotcha.
in Canada.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you're right.
Not that
this,
kind of bubble.
It's not. It's that right.
It's a different kind
It's
of
a
bubble.
different kind of bubble.
But it is, what is it? Is it the hottest condo market in North America?
People, it depends which report you read, but some interesting reports over the last few months. Forbes magazine just rated Canada the #1 country in the world to do business. Canada is a commodity-rich country with second largest oil reserve in the world, largest potash reserve in the world, huge timber industry.
Water, timber, everything. We got it.
So we've got all that, and which report was it? It was PwC recently rated Canada the Toronto the second best city in the world to do business as well. So
what was the best?
New York City.
Yeah,
New York
it's gonna be
City.
New York City's been up there for a long
It's
time.
numbers
Yeah.
alone, though. You know.
But their
I mean,
condo market is not as hot as ours.
They're second to ours.
Yes.
Well, if you look at the most amount of cranes, again,
Yeah.
it depends whose article you read. Apparently,
Yeah.
Toronto has the most cranes in
It
the world,
does.
and New York City second, and Mexico City third.
Isn't that
Oh,
insane?
really?
Yeah.
Because I look at some of these cranes, and I've heard that
Right.
we got a lot of cranes, and I'm thinking, where are they getting these cranes?
Oh,
Some
lot-
of these cranes are looking a little.
Well,
a little.
there aren't enough cranes in
Yeah.
Toronto. They bring them in from Quebec. They're
I know
bringing
they're
them in
pulling them up
from-
out of the closet.
It's
We haven't
crazy.
used this crane in 20 years, but we're sending it to Toronto.
But you could swing a cat and hit a crane in this city. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Now, a lot of people would see that as somewhat of a bad thing, that they're just taking up too much green space. What's your idea
I
on
hear
that?
that more than anything.
Right.
People are concerned. They see all these cranes. They think that means that we're going to have an oversupply and a bubble is going
Right.
to pop.
Yeah, right.
Interesting key points in defense of that bubble theory. Toronto used to be a very strong low-rise development city, the GTA. We used to, about 10 years ago, past decade, we used to average about 28,000 low-rise homes a year.
Yep.
What does that mean?
Single-family
units?
dwellings, semi-detached, detached, townhomes. That's now decreased to about 15,000. So it's down actually 57%, went from 35,000 to 15,000 over the last 10 years.
Is that Toronto proper?
GTA.
Yeah.
Which really stops at Steeles, right?
No, I think it even
you
goes
can go
north
into
of
Markham,
Steel.
you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
go
No, I
into-
mean, I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to get the definition of what we're calling
GTA,
Toronto.
so I think you're even going into Markham, Vaughan, you have Brampton,
Okay.
Mississauga. So
right.
there's a huge shift from low-rise to high-rise. So, I mean, condo starts are through the roof right now, but, I mean, the decrease in low-rise is gone to an increase in high-rise.
Well, I mean, and I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but to me, it's like if you're going to buy an affordable dwelling, right? Either
Yeah.
you're going to buy a house out in Oshawa or Barrie or Hamilton, or you're going to live downtown in a condo
Right.
where you've got the whole city at your disposal,
Right.
right? And all
Yeah.
that commuting is just I mean, not to mention the gas prices.
Yeah.
And just the time you're spending every day. Just for a lot of lifestyles, it just makes sense that you want to live downtown.
Absolutely.
Well, and the demographics for elderly people too. Like a lot of I see a lot of, what I would call first timers. And then you've got a lot of investors, of course, in this city. Most of the buildings I inspect are at least 40% investors. But I have a lot of retirees that, don't want to own a home anymore, don't want to shovel the walks, don't want to mow the lawns, don't want to do any lawn care, take care of it. I just want a nice place that I can drive to and be carefree.
It's a huge lifestyle shift, for
absolutely.
sure. Young professionals want to be closer to work. Commutes are getting longer. Amenities for the elderly, like you said.
Well, the amenities
a lot of
in
factors.
condos now are unbelievable.
Yeah.
From bowling lanes to movie theaters to
bowling lanes.
Yeah.
5 pin or 10?
It's
oh yeah,
it's a 5 pin, but yeah. You have a kid come back and give you your ball. No, but the amenities. Which the sad thing is, again, 70% of people in high-rise don't even use their own amenities, but they're there for you.
Right.
There's an old saying in real estate: you need a pool to sell the building, and nobody's going to use the pool.
I think it's important now, though, because I am seeing a huge shift from young families now moving to condos.
Right.
And although a lot of my clients and current clients don't use the amenities, I think they're going to be important in the future. Because again, those gas prices, the urban sprawl, a lot of people are coming back central, and those are going to be important amenities in the future.
Especially if there are a lot of kids.
Yeah.
So when I'm showing condos and stuff, I tell them, listen, there's nobody here during the week, but on the weekend it's a Motel 8. When people with their friends and everything show up with kids, you get tons of use out of it. The rest of the time you can hear the crickets chirping and there's nobody using these.
So that'd be nice. I mean, that's nice.
If
you want to use the pool and you don't want a big crowd, it's great.
It's there. It's for you.
Yeah. Now, so Ryan, is this your business, the condo store, or?
It isn't. I'm actually new to the condo store. I was previously with Remax Unique in Yorkville, and I've recently just moved to condo store about 2 months ago. Majority of my business is working with investors and doing condos, and the condo store allows good access to inventory before the public, to the VIP sales, which are becoming very, very popular amongst realtors and investors. And
are you concentrating strictly on high-rise?
No, I do still do a lot of homes. I concentrate strictly on downtown Toronto, the market I know, live and love. But majority of my business is with investors of either high-rise, low-rise, townhomes, semis, flips, and so it helps. So I'd say 90% of my business is condo development, pre-build.
So so what's the concept? Is it do you have an actual store, and do you just show all your inventory there that people can just go through, like a catalog almost, and look and see what's available? Or
what usually happens is I'll receive an invite from the developer inviting me to a VIP broker sales event. They'll offer the VIP brokers, which are a selective few, incentives, price incentives, assignment clauses allowing people to flip the unit before they actually take out the mortgage, developer levies that are capped, and that allows us to invite our clients before the general public and before much more of the other realtors. So that once I get an invite, I send that on to my database, and I say, this project's coming up. I do my due diligence. This is what's happening in the area. Are you interested? And if so, there's the specific date. We go in there and sign some paperwork.
That's great. And so, what percentage of the condo buyers would you say are in the investor class?
No one knows a true figure. I read 60. I've read 40 to 60%. I'm very active with investors, and I'm saying probably about 80 to 90%.
And they're not having any trouble, having the units occupied once they invest? I'm just trying to
Toronto's interesting from that point. Toronto has a vacancy rate of 1.6%, downtown Toronto. That means
low.
every 1,000 condo units, there's 16 vacant units at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And I'm quite confident those units are probably the older buildings that don't have the amenities and are very outdated. So vacancies aren't a huge issue. They tend to get rented, and they tend to flip to end users. So a lot of these investors aren't renting, they're assigning, they're flipping the units to end users who essentially buy it and live in it.
That sounds to me like a strong message for anybody out there considering getting into condo ownership, that they should, sign up for one of these new developments, because
it's a good idea.
Why are they paying that flip capital gain to the investor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What are some of the most, I mean, it's true, when you go around downtown Toronto, there's building everywhere.
You see lineups down on pretty much every
yeah, you
corner.
can hear it. It's right across the street.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But what are some of the most exciting developments that you're aware of right now downtown?
There's a great development called Ivory Condominiums. Just finished the VIP sales event. Their actual incentives for the VIP brokers and buyers have spilled over to the general public, so it's a great opportunity. It's located at Sherbourne and Adelaide, and prices there. I've got a little list here.
Sherbourne and Adelaide. Yeah, I'm just trying to picture it.
Well, you have George Brown College.
Right.
You have the West Don Lands Initiative.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of
all that stuff
developing going on in the Regent Park revitalization.
And that looks like Regent Park is like amazing. The transformation that's happening there.
Yeah, it's a new place.
And that whatever that Blue Edge thing is like, even though I'm happy where I live, I want to move there.
That's the largest residential development in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. 35,000 units coming over the next 20 years. So.
And they haven't even started the waterfront project yet.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ivory Condominiums. I mean, average price per square foot in that area is probably about $525, $550.
Yeah, that's the number.
They're coming in pre-market price of pre-build at around $475 a square foot.
Wow, that's great.
Which is remarkable.
That's amazing.
Yeah, one bedroom starting at $289, 1+1 starting at $299, and 2 bedrooms starting at $396. And they're including lockers in that price, capped levies, assignment fees are waived.
Well, that 475 is pretty amazing. I mean,
incredible.
you can just basically say in the GTA it's about 500 to 550 plus whatever.
Easy, yeah.
That's an average.
Yeah.
So to come in at 475, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, the developers, Plaza Corp, they've done a lot of work. They've been in the business for a long time. They've land banked, so they have spots, new sites coming up, and they've paid lower prices than today's market value for land. So they're able to charge less per square foot than the other developers.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So now. So if people want to start to do some business, or thinking about buying a condo, or want to get in touch, like, do they come to do you have a location where they come, or do they just give you a call? Or how does that
it's
work?
best to give me a call, look me up, email me. My website is www.ryancoyle.com, Coyle. It's my first and last name. Or feel free to email me anytime, ryan@ryancoyle.com. And direct phone at 416-904-0664.
Okay, great, Ryan.
I do most of my business online. A lot of my clients I meet online. I do have a storefront where we can meet and discuss opportunities.
Or you could just meet at the unit, so you
or
can
we
go
can,
look
or
at
we
it,
can
right?
meet at the lineup at the VIP cell and get a free lunch.
People ask me where my office is. I go, in my car. Yeah, that's that type of business.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're interested in something, let's meet down there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, Ryan, also, I know you're maybe thinking about doing a show here, like a condo show.
Yeah.
I mean, just curious, do you have any concrete, specific ideas about what kind of what that show would look like?
I think I'd like to get in here and talk about new developments before they actually come to market. I'd like to let people know what's coming, give them an idea of what's available, and hopefully get them into the market, because right now I think it's a good time to invest. And
why not get in? I know a lot of times people, whether they're young people or young professionals or whatever, and they're living somewhere, they're paying rent, and they're thinking, I just don't know about getting into. They don't know. Maybe they're just not thinking about it, right? But I mean, home ownership it changes your life.
Well, you know what, and Ryan touched on it earlier, like you get those advance notices, and a lot of purchasers do get upset that, within the first day, you get the invite and a lot of the good stuff's gone by the time it comes to the public market. So are you looking as yourself for a show to kind of beat them to the punch a little bit and say, okay, listen, I still want my advanced invite, but I've got a lot of new clients that know about your property and
yeah, well, essentially, I mean, similar to what you're saying, a lot of people do get frustrated, general public, because they're the last people to have choice at units. Prices have gone up. They don't have the same incentives. So I want to give people that opportunity, give them information about the project, get in touch with me. You'll be included on my VIP buyer list, and we'll go in there with you on day one and get you the best units available.
That's awesome.
That's a great idea.
Leverage your connections for everybody that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
That's really great. Okay, Ryan. Well, we look forward to the show, and thanks for coming in today and telling us about this, and
Thanks for
Almost
having me.
makes me want to buy a condo.
Yeah, well, here's my card.
I'll inspect it for you.
It's all taken care of. Another That Channel miracle. Okay, ryancoyle.com is the website. Check it out. We're going to take a little break now, Stu, and come back with Darlene Madott. Madott.
We'll figure that out. She'll tell us when she gets on.
Right after this. Yes, we'll take questions. We'll be right back. ThatChannel.com.
Wish I knew just what I got. I can't concentrate and I'm running a little hot. The slightest thing can tip me into a rage. Feel like a cat in a cage. Gypsy woman, she says I'm marked. She cursed my soul and stole my heart. Can't seem to stop and turn the page. Now I'm pacing the floor like a cat in a cage.
Hey guys, Ryan Coyle here. I am broker with the Condo Store Realty. Been in business for about 7 years now and been an investor myself for 11 years. If you're looking for VIP sales to get in on condominium developments before the public, come look for me. I'll be sure to get you in there, get you the best choice on units, the best prices and the best incentives before most other brokers in the business and before the general public. Feel free to reach me direct anytime with any questions at 416-904-0664. Again, it's Ryan Coyle. Thank you.
Down at the Latin bar, we danced till dawn. It's all a little foggy now. She marked me with charcoal on a bed of sage. Now I'm clawing at the walls like a cat in a cage. Feeling like I stand out in a crowd. I can't work, I can't sleep. I wanna scream out loud. I've stumbled or slipped with age. I'm pacing the floor like a cat in a cage. Times to knock at a door. Cold woman in blue says no one like that lives here anymore. I'd pay the devil to be myself again at this stage. Feel like I'm pacing the floor like a cat in a cage. Like a cat in a cage.
just want to say the music today, when you hear it, is Doron Zor, who has been here in the station a couple times. And now we have Darlene Madott. Right, Darlene? Did I say that right this time?
It actually was Madotta, but the A was dropped at the border.
Madotta.
It was 3 generations ago, but
What
Madott.
border? What border?
Canadian border.
From
Italy.
Italy. Okay.
But it wasn't
East
just
Coast.
Italians that was happening to. It was
everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Trying to anglicize the name.
Assimilate.
So.
Yes.
Madott.
Yeah.
Madott.
Mystery
Madott.
name.
I have some, You could go on about that all day. Anyway, you got some, no, you're a lawyer.
I am a lawyer.
That's okay.
We throw
you,
pens in the
Darlene.
courtroom as well.
I didn't, these things happen.
They do.
That's why you need a special invention to keep the pen on the hand.
Like an elastic band?
Like an OptiGrab.
There you go.
You know? Darlene, we're being silly.
We are. We're digressing
That's
from
okay.
the fact
That's
that she uses pens all the time.
It's a nice counterpoint to what I think is pretty serious fiction. Making Olives and Other Family Secrets.
Yeah,
One
no,
of
we
the
talked
books.
off air a little about what fiction really is when it comes to your writing.
Well, as a result of this book, half the family wanted to sue me, so I suppose this
Really?
can give you some kind of indication. Writers write about what they know,
Right.
and there's a dangerous territory that you sometimes pass when you draw upon your material.
Sure.
And in fact, I was so worried about that. The writer's block that propelled me into law school then had me writing a paper in law school on libel fiction in the charter. And I actually defined sort of a test for when a writer would cross the boundary. But I was staggered at how many American writers had been sued by siblings, by parents, and the chilling effects of libel lawsuits on fiction. When this book came out, about the only thing that saved me from getting sued was to have won the Bressani Literary Award for it. And but a letter that I received from a family member actually shut me down as a writer for about a year. And it took me a long time to recover from that, because what I was doing was celebrating family and the concept of family. And the characters may have resembled some actual family members, but they were composites. And one would think that people get this, but in fact they don't get it. And if it touches too close to the core, they're certainly not going to get it. So in this case, there were, and even my own sister, who was no part of the book, was quite upset with me and described the book as an embarrassment. I was actually hoping, as a lawyer in a way, that someone might sue me, because I know that inch space in the press counts for a lot. And
Not only that, but you can defend yourself.
well, I
exactly.
probably could,
Lawyer's fees.
and I knew that it would be kind of like killing a chicken with a cannon, because I'm in a very aggressive litigation law firm.
But at the same time, like you say, it's family. It's
Yeah.
not just a third person, removed from you. This is family that you're talking about. And obviously, were they upset from the content for defamation, like you say, for libel, or?
I think my own theory is that they were upset at the truth.
Right.
Because writers of fiction don't have a truth defense. Now, if you're a journalist and you can say, well, I was writing about a public person, or I have the truth defense. So in writing fiction, I'm trying to get to the truth about human nature, but you don't have a truth defense.
Well, everybody has a revisionist type of history of their own life anyway.
Of course they do.
So, it's I remember it a different way. Well, okay.
So at the end of the introduction to this, I sort of addressed that. I said that I had, if I'd failed in holding you up to the light truthfully, with compassion, reverence, and love, I'm truly sorry. I do this as I must, despite the consequences, in celebration of you. I do this in loving memory of those who have lived and whom I have loved, so that at very least their stories might continue. So I in writing fiction, I had to write. I had to write out of these stories, and if I bottled it up, one of my short story collections is called Bottled Roses. If I bottled it up, I actually had a physical manifestation of that, almost a choked. And so it wasn't until I wrote some of these stories that I discharged that that sense of constriction.
Well, there's a catharsis, I guess, for you to just kind of release it and get rid of it. Whereas do you find like a lot of your family members are still holding it in, and that's what's
the bottom line
making
is
them
that
angry?
My mother and father forgive me.
Oh,
So as long as I've got
should.
them on side,
Then you're all right.
Who
I'm
cares
okay.
about the siblings?
That's
Exactly.
right.
Yes. Now, Darlene, you mentioned, and I don't know if I caught this correctly, but that it was writer's block that propelled you into law school.
It was indeed.
Now, what do you mean by that?
Well, I had gone west, young woman, to write a novel, and I had decided that it had failed. The penny hadn't dropped. It was actually my second novel.
Where did you go?
I stayed out in Vancouver for 5 months, and
there's no distractions in Vancouver.
oh
That's the
no,
nice thing about it.
I was hiking every weekend, joined the North Shore hikers.
Supernatural. What am I going to do here?
Fell in love in Vancouver,
Yeah.
which is love is always a huge distraction.
Yeah.
So when I came back to Toronto, I had lost a sense of direction, and my mother said to me, "Why don't you make something of your life like your friend Irene?" So I decided.
Why don't you do something with your life?
That's right. Since Irene was a lawyer, I decided to write the LSAT on a walk-in, and lo and behold, got accepted at 6 out of 6 universities. So then I felt I had to go.
Yeah.
I had been working in the publishing industry. I was writing book reviews for the Globe and Mail, and I was at Saturday Night Magazine and then Toronto Life Magazine. So I don't know how law was a logical follow-up to that, but
Like what?
that's where I landed.
Why did you even think, I'll go write the LSAT? Why?
It was a
goaded
dare.
into it by your
was
mother.
it was literally a dare to do it on a dare.
Yeah.
And then once I got the acceptances, you feel sucked in. So law was like the ostinato base of the rest of my life. It's like a girdle or a chastity belt. You put it on the brain. But the amazing thing that happened, that once I structured my life in the practice of law, the creativity, rose and fell above it like a melody. And in fact, my call to the bar coincided with the publication of Bottled Roses. Wow. And then one thing led to another, and I got married, and I had a baby, and then this film script, Matzili Shoes. I was approached by Bernie Zuckerman to produce or to do a film arising out of my Italian background. And this actually took me 10 years to write and never in fact got produced, but it did get published, which was Bernie Zuckerman gave it to Nino Ricci to rewrite. And he also couldn't rewrite it, but because I was afraid my baby was being stolen, I actually got this published. And I don't think it's if, but when it gets produced, we'll see.
Yeah.
And so then, I write not always out of my Italian background. This book, Joy, Joy, Why Do I Sing, is one of the title story of that is actually almost a separation story and would grow out of my family law background, but not the legal aspect of it. It's really what I know about families in transition and in trauma of separating experience. So basically I'd drawn it all: work, play, home, life. But the concept of family as a theme is really important to my writing. And the Making Olives and Other Family Secrets, there it was the concept of how secrets can sabotage us. And every family has skeletons in the cupboard and the untold stories that they don't want to come out. So the Making Olives is a 3-generational story, and it isn't until the 3rd generation that the secrets and the patterns begin to reveal themselves. And I think that's what got the family very upset.
Sure it was.
You know, the black sheep in the family are the most interesting characters to write about, and they're the ones that the traditional family wants to keep suppressed and hidden. So,
right.
And that's what I go for as a writer.
Hey, I want to ask you about because you mentioned when you were in law school. It's interesting that you should say that once you had this this girdle of your law career, then the creativity of your writing was able to go. And I've often noticed myself that sometimes it's the restrictions that you have, the limitations that are set before you that allow your creativity to flourish. Otherwise, you just got too many options, too much choice.
Well, absolutely, and I think why does some of the best writing come out from repressed countries, and the courage to create? In a democratic country, we don't have the same kinds of linguistic or constraints. We have a Charter of Right that supposedly protects us, but can in fact really great literature come out without restraint and confinement? I don't know. I mean, if you look at the Nobel Prize winners within the last number of years, I mean, where are they coming from?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with you that I don't think we can have true creativity without constraints. And my musical background helped me understand this too, because music form, like sonata form, you have an A voice, you have a B voice, you have, how it works itself out and comes back. But structure is extremely important to creativity. It's not just I'm going to take a tube of paint, splash it against a canvas. You have to have a concept of structure, or it does not speak and never leaps and becomes universal.
And you mentioned your musical background, and you wrote, what was it, a Christmas carol that was performed at St. Michael's?
It was.
Yeah.
It's surprising to me. My son went to St. Michael's Choir School, and so I got to know the priests there. And Father Misio kept asking me for years if I would write something, knowing of the literary writing. So I wrote First Gifts, and then it was assigned to a former alumnus to set the music to it. And 2 years ago, it was performed by the choir school at Massey Hall, and I have the CD in it.
Oh, nice.
One of the highlights of my life.
Wow,
because,
I guess
because it's one art form which has been expressed by another art form.
Right.
The poetry being expressed by the music. And one of my first publications, which was published by Canadian Forum of the time, Canadian Forum magazine, it was so exciting to see my story illustrated. This was something that had never happened to me before, to have something illustrated. And the cover of this, I was explaining before we went on air, is a Modigliani painting. And my publisher was so wise to choose a deceased artist, because they didn't then have to pay for the rights of a cover. But this cover, which Guernica Editions commissioned, we had quite the fight over it, because I didn't like the man portrayed. My Manzili was very masculine, and as I explained to my publisher at the time, sex sells. Couldn't you make him sexy? This is not sexy enough.
It's a little like Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, not the kind of man that a woman would follow across the ocean twice. So.
That's interesting. Are you doing any more work in music?
No, but the man who hath not music, or the woman in her soul, is not to be trusted. So music is a huge part of my life. No, I'm not doing anything more in music.
Well, it sounds like the thrill of seeing your song performed, and then of course the thrill of seeing your story illustrated. What are you going to do when they do one day make a movie out of one of your books? You're going to freak.
I'm going to sit back and watch it. Go for the ride.
Are you going to? So, and again, you wrote this as sort of as a screenplay, and we're talking about Mazzili's Shoes. In the form that it is right now, it's obviously much more of a story. Would you be the person to write the screenplay?
Well, actually, I'm the person who wrote the screenplay, and it was published in screenplay form.
Oh, it is published in screenplay
so,
form. Okay, I gotcha.
The publisher worried at the time that by publishing it in screenplay form, it would be the death of it ever being a film.
Right.
Well, I guess the proof's in the pudding, and we'll see. I have to die yet to see whether it'll ever be made a film. But it's there and available, and occasionally I read from it, parts from it, and it's quite dramatic, and I enjoy doing this, and then doing this, and then doing that, and playing the many voices.
Right. What about just having it performed as a play? I wonder if that would be possible.
Well, you know, I sent it to Stratford, and I got a personalized response from the artistic director at the time, who said it would make a great screenplay. He couldn't see it on the stage.
Is that a catch-22?
Yeah.
Run around in circles saying.
So I'm not about
That's
to
funny.
rewrite it unless there's a real expression of interest.
Right.
But it served what it needed to at the time, which was to keep me writing while I was growing my son, my one and only son.
Wow, that's cool. So now you mentioned when you were in law school too, you wrote this paper about
libel law, fiction, and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
The Canadian Charter of Rights
Yeah,
and
the
Freedoms.
Canadian, and it was Trudeau at the time. It was just coming out. I was actually my call to the bar coincided with the Charter of Rights, and it was pretty exciting time to be going to law school.
Why? Because of the charter?
Because of the charter. And Pierre Elliott Trudeau came to Osgoode Hall Law School and spoke to us. And
what were your impressions of, well, not just Trudeau, but the charter as well, and what it meant for the legal profession and for all Canadians?
I was so excited to be Canadian and to be a woman and to be becoming a lawyer. I'm a member of LEAF, a Legal Education Action Fund, and they started at the same time as I became a lawyer, approximately 25 years ago. And they couldn't have started had Trudeau's Charter of Rights and Freedoms not made equality and women's issues, as well as ethnic issues, put those on the table of Canada. I mean, what is quintessentially Canada is our multiculturalism, our tolerance for everything and anything, including women and children, and so now, you know, continuing to practice and seeing the changes that have occurred. Now we're talking about charters of children's rights, and I mean, we live in a city with over 250 ethnic nationalities represented here. Look, bottom line is every time is an exciting time to be alive, and 25 years ago to be going to law school. I was actually taking my mentors as women who were younger than me, because when I grew up, believe it or not, the options were you became a nun, you became a school teacher, you got married, and I forget what the other one was, but there were about 4 options.
Prostitute.
Oh, the oldest profession in the world. So then, you know, looking forward, I had to look back, and I saw younger women than me were going to law school, so I thought, hey, why not?
That's really cool. Now, what are your impressions today when we see? And I know this is getting a little off topic, but you know, but I know you've done thinking about this because you're just all about all this stuff. You know, where do we stand in terms of our personal rights and freedoms here in Canada now? Is the Charter still protecting us, or can it be taken away at the stroke of a pen and orders in council? What's going on in the U.S.? Are you concerned about, you know, the Patriot Act and how it's impacting on all those traditional American freedoms and our Canadian freedoms here?
Yeah, I'm always concerned because I'm an impassioned person, and I don't think we can ever take our rights for granted. What I'm seeing is an almost reverse situation where those who have been so empowered by Canadian rights and freedom are taking away the rights and freedoms of basic Canadian citizens. For example, what's happening to the right to the Lord's Prayer in schools, or Halloween? Why couldn't kids dress up as Talibans if they wanted to be Taliban fighters and go around and knock on doors for Halloween? Because it's offending someone's sensibilities? Well, hello, we're in a free society, and if you don't like it,
you don't have to give them any candy.
That's right, or you keep your doors closed. And
certainly don't draw any cartoons about them, because that'll get you shot.
But it's really alarming, and you know, so we have fundamental rights and freedoms, but I don't like to see them used in the wrong way.
Right.
Anyway, we have to never take anything for granted.
Yeah, but in the legal profession, there you guys are. You're lawyers, and judges tend to be ex-lawyers. But you know, what's your sense of the legal profession as a whole? Is it willing to, when necessary, stand up for those fundamental rights and freedoms?
Oh, absolutely. But here's I'll give you an interesting anecdote. I recently went to family law lawyers and I said, why don't we put on the course load, the impact of ethnicity in family law. For example, representing an Oriental family or a Hindu family or a Muslim family. What are the different dynamics there? And I was slapped right down, told that we could never get a course like that through the Law Society. We have to worry about the sensitivities of talking about these issues. But when you have women who cannot come to you and talk about abuse in the home or what's happening to their daughters and have no way of getting out of an abusive marriage without risking their lives, this has to be talked about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it has come into my practice through mediation courses that I've taken because, for example, Sharia law, which was trying to be recognized as a dispute resolution mechanism. You know, you go before, maybe you go before your Jewish tribunal or you go before your Sharia law tribunal and you have your affairs of the family resolved in that religious context. Well, our government courageously did not accept that as a dispute resolution form. If you want, family law in Ontario is going to be family law in Ontario as it is on the legislated books by our legislated politicians.
Yeah.
So, and which needs to be.
And those Canadian values that are enshrined in the Charter, they need to be, you know, everybody who's in the country needs to buy into it.
Well, yeah, understand it.
This
you
is
know,
the country.
Yeah.
So if I could segue a little bit, the bleeding in or the connection between the law and the writing. First of all, long tradition of jurists who are writers, Boston and so on. But go to the root of the word advocate, advocare. It's to speak for, to give voice to tell people's stories. And my most powerful tool of advocacy as a lawyer is my writing skill. I have clients who say to me, wow, I wept when I read that pleading. You told my truth. This is enormously important to my clients. I had a judge not long ago. My pleading was attacked as being too prolix. And the judge at the case conference said to the lawyer on the other side, said to me, well, yes, we know it's too prolix. She said, but Darlene, I couldn't put it down. I heard your client's pain. And that's what I do. I tell my client's story in a way that the case is almost over before we have to even open our mouths. The first time I stood in what was then called weekly court, and the judge told me, I don't need to hear from you. But Your Honor, I have things I have to say. And then I felt this tug at my back on my gown, and I looked behind me, and it was a very senior lawyer, and he mouthed to me, "It means you've won. Sit down." And it was the written word.
Yeah.
It was the written word that had won. So in Toronto, in Canada, I'm not aware of very many writers who are lawyers. We, a generation ago, had a poet who was a lawyer, and his cases went to the Supreme Court, and I'm going to have a senior's moment and forget his name. But you know, we haven't had a huge tradition of writers and lawyers in Canada, but there is a huge tradition of those creatures in the States, in particular Boston and the East Coast.
Yeah.
So
is this your most recent
this
work,
is
Making Olives and Other Family Secrets?
This is the most recent book entirely dedicated to my writing, but quite a number of my stories have been anthologized, most recently in Descant, a Sicilian publication of Sicilian Canadian writing, and that came out very recently, was launched in Toronto at Grano Restaurant, where I also studied language in linguini. They have a great course there.
Why not? Great place, love Grano.
And what's the, forgive me, but the Bressani Award, I'm not really familiar with it, and this book has won that award. Can you tell us a little bit about
I wasn't familiar with it until I won it either. Bressani was, I understand, an early explorer of Italian descent. I think he was 1700s, possibly 1600s, and was a great writer. He wrote, his diaries went back to the Pope in Rome, and so when Vancouver Cultural Centre wanted to start creating a profile for Canadian writing that was growing out of an Italian background, they instituted this Bressani Literary Award. So Nino Ricci has won it. Michael Ondaatje has won it because one of his, he's not Italian, but one of his books was partly set in Italy. And a marvelous book. Again, the name of it is escaping me. So, and the year that I won, there was a poet who won, a Jewish poet, and she had one poem about an Italian gardener next door to where she lives. A very fine poet, and she received the award at the same time.
Well, that's great. Well, at least you're in the same company with people like Michael Ondaatje, and that's got to be
very
great.
comforting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Now, how do people get your books, and are you doing any openings or any readings or signings or anything like that coming up?
Well, my books, some of them are available through Chapters Indigo, and I ask people to support their small local bookstores, but I have a web page, www.darlenemadott.com, and if you Google Darlene Madott, M-A-D-O-T-T, you can also get to me that way, but www.darlenemadott.com, best way to get me.
That's fabulous.
Best way to get the books.
Now you're working on something new right now?
Yes, it's called Stations of the Heart, and Exile Editions, Barry Callahan, Michael Callahan, son of the famous Canadian author Morley Callahan, son and grandson. They are the publishers of Exile Editions, and they're very interested in one of the short stories in that will be published in the next edition of Exile. So but I'm looking for a whole book in the spring of 2012.
That's great. Well, we would love to, maybe if you'd like to come back and tell us about that, we would love to have you back. This has been a great conversation.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
All right.
Okay. Thanks
for doing this. DarleneMadott.com. And Stu, let's take a little break.
All right, pal.
And we're going to come back. We got Jim is here, and Diane, and Doina. And we are going to have so much fun as we hit the home stretch here on Liquid Lunch. We'll be right back.
Great.
much. As we said before, Doron Zor is our music today, and thanks, Doron, for fabulous tunes. And we're here now with the fun part of the show, because we have 3 people here all at once. 3 at once. Let's look at them. There's Jim in the middle with the maple leaf tie.
Yes.
And Doina Oncel, right? Did I say that right?
Oncel.
Oncel.
Yes.
And Deanne Ali.
Ohar? Ojar.
Ojar-ali, okay. And now, Jim, do you want to just, you brought these other 2 musketeers together with you today. What's the deal? And then we'll get into Doina's story.
Well, it's good to be back. Thank you for allowing me back. I've been to the show a few times and had an awesome time sharing. This is a little bit of a special show for me. Been coming in speaking about networking, but actually this is a great result from a conversation that I had at an event in late August. So I want to let Doina talk about it.
Now, Doina, was this your event that where you met these?
No, it
these
was
2?
not my event, unfortunately. It was Word 11.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Jim, and I was telling him about how I created this networking events through my company because I wanted to provide value to, like, information for the entrepreneurs. And talking to him, I realized that he actually has a lot of value to offer, as well as Diane. I met her there as well, and she had a lot of value to offer as well. So I just wanted to bring them together to my next networking event, which will happen on November 10.
And that's, I think that's really important concept. It's about adding, you have to find that value. No matter what you're doing, whether it's an event, whether it's a business, a product, a service, you've got to offer that value. Otherwise, people's attention spans are so short that they have to, you've really got to offer that value or it's just not going to be worth it for people.
That's very true.
Right?
Very, very true.
So now, is this your business full-time? It's called Infinite Solutions?
Doina's Infinite Solutions. It is not full-time. I do other things, but I just, it gives me an opportunity to meet people, for the business. Maybe I could meet somebody that I could do business with as well. So I decided to do it.
Okay.
I also go to a lot of networking events, and I saw how there wasn't enough value added to it. And this is why I wanted to create my own.
Yeah.
So when I bring in a guest, I learn something as well.
Okay, that's interesting. So what kind of value do you build into your events? And specifically this one coming up on November 10th.
Normally, I just want to bring anything that will support the business to grow.
Yeah.
And in this case, I have Diane. She's going to talk about money, which is a very important topic to talk about.
She knows about money?
Yes, she knows about money. She knows about fraud.
Fraud?
Yes. And
that's how you get money.
Yes.
Yes, specifically.
That's another show.
And then I have Jim, and he's going to be talking about networking, the effective networking, because people just go and they don't know how, and there's an art to it. So he has the how-tos.
And it's going to be a networking event in itself, so people can practice what Jim is preaching.
Practically,
right?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that's the concept, and I've been talking about getting connected and make wealth happen. And my book is predicated on that factor. But what I realized when we were doing that was we had to create an environment where they could do it. Do networking, but get a result.
Yeah.
And we've been talking of the power of not just networking, but utilizing it after the fact, utilizing social media correctly to make sure your message gets heard. And as you said earlier, people's attention spans are very slim. So you make sure you have to be an effective communicator.
Yeah.
And I hope to share the power system, a mini system on what to do. And it all is all about having a business card. And so that's the importance of that. So there's Diona's and there's Leanne's. And this card is extremely important. You can make these for 3 cents and get them in bulk and order in 48 hours and give a name for yourself. So I'm going to share with you how you can leverage this piece of paper. It's not like a magic act. I wish it was. In any environment, a networking event, you're going to a social function, say you're going to a wedding, what can you say and be prepared and talk to you how you do a 30-second elevator pitch and how important it is to have resources. And that's what I've done successfully in leveraging my book. And I've had great entrepreneurs tell me over the past 3-4 months, you are doing a masterful job in leveraging your book effectively in situations.
And the book, what's the book?
The book,
Just so
the
people
book is
know.
the chapter that I'll be talking about is how to become a networking success.
Yeah.
And I'll be also giving insights on another chapter in the book called 30 Strategies to Become a World-Class Networker.
Yeah.
These are 30 strategies that I've proven that work, from having a powerful newsletter, using social media, YouTube, effectively and quickly. I've been running a 6-month, literally, effective test on that, and then bringing some great results. Great, basically, I own my own channel, really, on YouTube, and so I want to share insights on that because it's not about networking; it's turning that into a result, and that's what I want to share with the crowd. And when they walk out there that night, they're going to be networking. They're going to practice the performance training program, and they're going to get results. That's my goal.
Effective networking, because
Yeah.
I mean, you can network almost anywhere. You can
Yeah.
get a bunch of people in a room, but
Right.
if you can't get your message across or
Mhm.
they're not receptive to it, then it's might as well just go to the bar and have a drink.
Right, and that's what I've been sharing for years. And I do a lot of networking events myself, but I'm more strategic in where I'm going to this time around. I've done them all here in Toronto. They're all great. Don't get me wrong, but it's where you go, and I'll be sharing secrets of how to do that and what search engines to use because I've got some new areas which I've.
So that's
going into.
really important because
It is.
people really need to wrap their head around this whole social network.
So the next part is the wealth, and that's where Deanne
The
fits
wealth. All I know about Deanne is she's written this book, Mrs. Fraud and You. And Deanne, you know, people say writers should really write what they know about. So is this a
Mrs.
autobiography?
Oh, God. Actually, it came about, I was in the financial industry for 18 years, just around the corner, actually. And this is something I heard about every day.
Like what? What would you hear about?
Identity theft. People don't ask questions. And people say the root of all evil is money. But I believe the root of all evil is not asking questions that lead you into trouble. That's my mission.
Absolutely.
And this is how it came about. I'm also involved in another company that we talk a lot about identity theft and protection. And it's something that it was in me trying to help people, to help them before, after, during. And this is how the book came about. So pretty much I wrote the whole book.
You wrote the whole book.
I wrote the whole book myself. And it just came from me. It wasn't hard to do because it's something I know very well.
So it's not a novel. It is a sort of just an information book
It's
to
an
protect
information
yourself
book to
from
protect yourself.
fraud?
That's correct. There's some quizzes, there's some questionnaires, there's little spots where you can write your questions and so forth, and scenarios and testimonials and a little bit of everything. Hopefully something in there would resonate with someone to start asking questions and not become a victim. Because the subtitle, if you look at it, it says, would you be a victim or victor when she comes knocking?
When she comes knocking.
Well, it's Mrs. Fraud.
Mrs. Fraud. You didn't say Mr. Fraud.
Well, there's an interesting story about how that name came about because apparently Mr. Fraud is a Bollywood movie.
Mr. Fraud?
It's a
that's
Bollywood
why you
movie.
changed it?
Okay, I got it.
So,
story.
And it's funny, the picture, most people think it's my picture. It's not my picture, but I think that book is becoming so much of me, it's not funny. So that's how it came about, and that's what I'm hoping it will do. And it's in a very simple layman's ABC version. Jim's read the book.
Yeah, I read the book and I provided a testimonial for it, and it was really something that you can read literally in less than an hour. You can sit down, read this book, take some ideas and some suggestions, and apply them. And that's the effective part of writing a book, is not to lose people. Because you saw a guest before, she written 5 books, which is absolutely amazing. I really congratulate her. But you can also go and write one book and make it to the point. And that's the part of really, I've been working with some other authors who are writing different books in different areas. And that's what I tell them. You have to make it simple.
All right.
Understand?
Okay. Now, Deanne, when you were met these guys at that networking event, what were you looking to get out of that networking event? Were you trying to promote the book, or what were you looking to, to get out of it?
No, Jim invited me. I know Jim invites me. No, Jim invites me to everything. But you know what? I've got to say this about Jim too as well. The events he goes to has done a lot for me, because if I didn't meet Jim, I wouldn't have thought of writing the book with the publisher I'm working with. which is ironic enough. So I have a lot to thank Jim for. But in terms of networking event, it was about blogging, which is something I have to start doing. But you know what? You never know who you can meet, which I met Donya, and we have a very good relationship now. So the key is never turn down an invitation. You never know where it would lead.
Never say no.
Never say never.
That's a great thing to say. Is you always can invite people, and I'll give you that for today. Is that invite people where you're going. Tell people where you're going somewhere. Put a posting on your Twitter, on your LinkedIn, on your Facebook, and you would be surprised. They may start following you, and that's exactly what you want.
Yeah.
And I appreciate Leanne saying that, and that has happened to me all summer. Where I've had a number of individuals just come to events. I had one event, I had 10 people come to an event 2 weeks, at the Small Business Forum I was at downtown. I had 10 people come, which was a great honor to come down and network and have lunch and really share with them what I do.
Yeah.
It's not that I write about it, I actually do it.
Yeah.
And I want to see them do it.
Now, Doina, you're running this Infinite Solutions event on November 10th, but you mentioned this is not everything that you do. So you're putting together this networking event, but when you're attending other networking events, what else do you do that you're trying to promote when you go to these events?
I do public relations and program management, as well as social media networking.
Really?
Yes. Really.
What do you mean social media networking?
I mean, some people call it social media marketing, but I don't really want to call it. I want to call it social media networking. That's probably what you do. You network on social media.
Yeah.
I like to meet people, and when I meet people on on Twitter or Facebook, I actually like to go to the next step forward where I get to meet them in person. I want to see what they do. I want to find out more about them. And who knows, maybe we can work together. Maybe they have a project that I could help them with. Maybe they have something that they can help me with what I do. So
yeah. Well, it's interesting. I want to ask you, sort of all three of you, right? Because I've been to a few networking events, and probably have been too. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And but now, and we say people's attention spans are very short. And I'm not sure if it's just that or whether it's the fact that we're all so busy, just trying to keep up with communications, emails, Facebook, all the social networking stuff.
Attention
I
span.
lost it.
Attention span. Attention span.
I was going somewhere with that.
You were going somewhere. You know what? I understand. I think I know where you're going with that.
Okay, I hope you're right.
Well, you know what? It's just to digress just for a second. Like Deanne said earlier, that through meeting Jim, he was sort of a catalyst to get you to write this. Was this on your mind, or was this through a conversation that you thought, you know what? I have all this stuff in my head that, this would be a book through talking with Jim. Was it, or was this just you needed somebody to tell you to just go out there and do it?
I'm going to answer that for you.
Well, actually, no, you can answer after. Okay. Actually, I met Jim a couple of years ago.
Okay.
My husband, that's where he was going with this.
Oh, okay.
A couple of years ago, my husband met Jim at another event. And they were supposed to be accountable partners. That didn't happen.
Okay.
And Jim and my daughter are very close too as well. And she's in one of the other businesses I'm in, which is what we help people with identity theft, the businesses, employees, individuals, and so forth. And just by knowing Jim maybe 4 years ago roughly, and this is how it evolved. And then this summer, he invited me to this event, which I ended up going to. And this is how I met the publisher that Jim had worked with before, and asked, who's going to write the book? It was not me. My hand was not up.
Your hand wasn't up?
No, but I did read a book. I got a book that day from one of the other authors there, one of the presenters, and I read that book and I said, oh, I can do that. Because I thought you had to have a book like this big and you had to research. No, but it was in me, so it's easy for me to write.
Your
about
book.
3 points.
It's one page. big page.
Actually, the book is about less than 100 pages. It's an easy read, really.
I must say, it looks a lot thicker.
It looks like a novel. That's 100 pages, apparently. I'm going to go back to the to the title fraud. Now, when you're talking, you've got all these stories in your head. I'm just gonna ask, did you even any slightest idea ever before in your life of writing a book?
No.
So it was through these networking events, through Jim, and then
I coursed
a publisher saying who's going to write this thing because you were telling stories, obviously.
I was telling stories, and it just led on, and a few people were pushing me to do it because I talk about it as well when we have a conversation with business owners and individuals. But I wanted to be a teaching tool, and Jim when Jim wrote his book, he gave me a rough copy of his book.
Sure.
I gave her some other, and put it over the edge. I gave her some other resources for her to look at. So that kind of.
But you had a template to begin with. But this is this is the positive outcome of networking.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
and
this
it's
is
a
what can
great
happen.
Story. I mean, shows you can put something in your head, put it down, have the right people come into your life and do it, and that's about success and about networking.
You know, I know where I was going with all that, and that is that we're all so busy that sometimes, to me anyway, it seems that there's just not enough. I don't have enough bandwidth to take in more, to add in more people in my lives, even great people, great people that I would love to be friends with, and I just don't have the time, unfortunately. And the same applies to business, right? Like I'm already juggling, and a lot of people seem to me to be very busy. Do you ever encounter like it's people, you know? Because I remember before networking was invented, just back in the late 70s, you know, and now here we are, and I'm always wondering, are we ready to, you know, leave networking behind? Have we not? No. Maybe we've done enough networking.
You know, it's a great question. What I could say is networking will never disappear. I think it's just evolving. It's an evolving medium. And I appreciate what you just said about timing. Everybody has a lot on their plate, but I can tell you one thing. I challenge everyone, professionals, entrepreneurs, is look at your time. I've done a great strategy from looking at your schedule from 6 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the morning, 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. And I can find time for you. And that's what you got to look at what you do. So we can say it, but we don't look at it.
Yeah, and it's time management. You're absolutely right.
It is.
The one thing I talk about people about being healthy or working out, I haven't got the time. And then once they start doing it and getting benefits of it, they find the time.
Exactly.
So you can actually find the time if you invest the effort into it, right?
That's a great point.
Somebody just told me, because I was having a conversation about this whole issue, and they said, you know what? Take on more projects. That was a recommendation. Take on more projects.
Come on, tough guy.
Because what they said was, you know, because if you do the stuff that you love, then you will naturally find a time for that. And the stuff you don't really want to be doing is just going to fall away.
Absolutely.
Right?
That could be an answer. Like I just had a funny story to share with you that happened to me this morning. I was on a Skype call this morning to a gentleman out of Calgary because we were doing some podcasts together. I literally was going to turn off my computer, and I got a Skype call from another woman who actually wants to write a book that I know very well. And because she's been following me on Facebook and other social media, she finally made the decision to press the button, and we're going to meet on Sunday. So I wanted to show them that people are making decisions but taking action.
And you're taking on another project.
Taking another project. So it works well what you just said.
It works.
Well, we don't have a lot of time left, guys, but let's just make sure that we make sure that everybody has all the information that they need. Like, for example, the event.
Yes.
November 10th. You guys are all going to be there?
Yes.
Right? And it's your event,
do
I know, right?
Event.
Now, paint us a picture. What's going to happen? Where's it going to be? And what can people get out of it?
It's going to be at the Screen Lounge at 20 College on the second floor. And it's from 5 to 7 on November 10. And we're just going to get to meet all of us, and you're going to get all this detailed information on networking and how to become wealthy. And
wealthy.
Yes.
We're there.
Yes.
So that's just over here at College and Young, basically, right?
Yeah, College and Young, yes.
And what floor is it on?
Second
floor, called the Screen Lounge?
Screen Lounge.
Now, what's the capacity of that room? How many people do you expect are going to be showing up?
Well, that's a good question.
Our goal was 30, but we're expecting to have at least 50 people there.
Yeah. Seems to be growing.
Yes.
Okay,
good. Every day.
And what night is that? That's, I guess, Thursday night, right?
Thursday evening.
And what time should people show up?
Show up at 6 o'clock. We're going to have networking before and after.
Yeah,
the
I
talks.
suggest that they should show up early
Like-
because I mean as early as they can.
Like 4 in the morning?
No, I mean we have it from 5 to 7.
Right.
So
Okay.
if you can be there 5:15 would be great. Then you'll have a chance to meet some people before,
Yeah.
as well as after.
So 5 p.m. The networking starts, and then the formal presentation part, what time?
I think we should start at 5:15 so that we have enough time to talk about. We have 2 guests, so we need time to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then afterwards we should have time for networking, from whatever Jim is going to tell us to do.
And what, really? So you can practice, AJ?
Yeah, they got practice.
Yeah.
what
And
they
then what
want.
time will that end, that
We-
informal networking part?
We target to finish at 7, but since this is a lounge, people are more than welcome to stay there.
It's a lounge?
It's a lounge, yes.
Do they sell...
They sell
Cocktails, liquor.
Really?
Yes,
Yes.
they do.
But they'll be
And
drinking
what
half
better
that.
way to network than over a glass of something?
Yes.
Right?
What if Jim's probably, that's probably some of what Jim
I'm
will
not
be
gonna get into
recommending,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Always buy the presenter a drink.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's good. I like that. That's good. I like that. That's a good connection. I gotta write that one down.
Yeah, yeah, of
I gotta write
course.
that one down.
Deanne, you're going to be in trouble. If everybody follow you.
She's known that for 3 or 4 years already, apparently. So.
That's okay. I can
Okay,
manage.
guys, it's been great to have you on the show.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Now let's just get all the contact information. Like, for example, Doina, do people have to sign up in advance to come, or can they just show up, or is there a website where they do that?
can just show up there for now,
Yeah.
and I have a website, but I didn't put out the information on the website. But my website is doinasinfinitesolutions.com,
Okay.
and they can just find out information on the events there.
Great.
And
Jim?
myself, you can go to, it's all one word. You can go to getconnectedmakewealthhappen.com.
Okay.
Right at the front of my page is the information for the event.
Terrific.
Get connected, makewealthhappen.com.
Yeah, all one word. It's long, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
And my website has my contact information, links to other other audios that I've done. So it's
Okay.
the easiest way to send me an email or get in touch.
Fantastic. And Deanna,
Well, my website is www.ojar-ali.com, which will lead you to a page where about identity theft. But my contact information is there. You can email me, contact me, and I actually have the information on Facebook and LinkedIn and so forth as well. So.
and people can order the book there?
Actually, it's in a pre-launch, so you can order the book now and reserve your copy. It's actually right now at $15. When it is launched, it's going to be much higher.
Much higher. It's just like condos.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You just, get in.
Gotta get in the
you know.
ground floor.
That's correct.
Sorry. Maybe you should inspect that first.
Yeah, I will. Well, so far, it's a quick read. This is Fraud in You.
Okay, so Deanne ojar-ali.com, and we're gonna spell all that correctly
Yes.
Yes.
in the credits, so people will be able to access all 3 of the websites. And so, thanks guys for coming in.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Stuart.
And
Absolutely.
the event sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
It will be.
It will be. Looking forward to it.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you. And that's it for the show, Stu.
That's it, buddy, for another week.
Yeah.
We'll see you again next week.
Yeah, but I'll actually see you later today.
I will see you later this evening for the
It's
jam.
Friday night. It's going to be a lot of
Absolutely.
fun.
We're gonna have
And
fun tonight.
just want to invite everybody to stay tuned because Jay is back and
Jay Stoyan's back.
doing the show
Quite
later
happy.
today at 6 o'clock. So we're all looking forward to that to kind of kick the weekend off.
Terrific.
So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you all on Monday for more Liquid Lunch right here on thatchannel.com. See you then.
Wish I knew just what I got. I can't concentrate and I'm running a little hot. Slightest thing can tip me into a rage. Feel like a cat in a cage. Gypsy woman, she says I'm out. She cursed my soul and stole my heart. Can't seem to stop and turn the page. Now I'm pacing the floor like a cat in a cage. I met her down at the Latin bar. We danced till dawn. It's all a little foggy now. She marked me with charcoal on a bed of sage.